Well, hello, hello, hello again, and welcome back to another episode of the Summer Spotlight 2020. I am your host, Gayle Nicholson. Thanks so much for joining us again today. Happy Tuesday. Hopefully, your day is going well, your week is going well, and off to a good start. We are so happy you're with us. Please, if you get a chance to, put a like or a heart in the comments. If you would like to ask a question, please also put those in the comments. We'll be bringing those online and talking about them as they come up. And if you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe. Like I always say, we are growing and we would love to have you along for the ride. All right, so today I get to introduce you to this delightful lady by the name of Ellen Violette. And she is a self publishing expert guru over there at booksopendoors.com. And it is my pleasure to introduce her to you today. Hi, Ellen. How are you doing?
I'm fine. How are you?
Very good, thank you. Very good. Thanks so much for joining us today. We
My
had one of
pleasure.
Thank you. We had one of your clients on here yesterday, and she was just absolutely delightful. Thank you so much for introducing me to her, Miss Terry
Oh, yeah.
Levine.
Yeah.
She was awesome, awesome stuff. Now, tell me a little bit about what it is that you do with business people and encouraging them and having them write their expertise in a book to help support the business. What is that all about? What do you do?
Well, the first thing that I do is I have to look at what they've done because most authors don't know how to do this and they don't do the research or they don't take a course or a good course, I should say, because there are a lot of bad ones out there and learn, what it really takes. And so a lot of times they'll just get a thought in their head or they'll say, "Oh, I want to write a book." And they come up with a title and they just start writing. And the problem with doing that is that if you don't know who your target market is, if you don't know how to position them, what it is they really want to learn, and also how you can stand out from the crowd. So, so many times I'll go into um, Amazon and there's several books, with the same title. And you never want to do that because a confused mind doesn't buy. And if they go there and they see a bunch of books with the same name, they're not going to buy any of them. And it also doesn't make you look like you know what you're doing, or that you're special. So you really have to know that.
I really like what you just said. A confused mind doesn't buy. That is gold for anybody in any type of online
Right.
entrepreneurial business. You must make your offer clear. You must make your expertise clear, or else people are going to be like nodding and tense smiling and
Right.
heading off into the side.
Yeah. And you also need to do market research and find out, talk to clients or talk to potential clients, ideal clients. I was just working with a father and son, and they came to me, they wanted me to market a book for them. And I looked at the book and I asked them about their business, and the book that they'd written was really aimed at their transactional clients. And you want to aim your books at your ideal clients and the clients who are going to stay with you long term. So I said, this is the wrong book. You need to write a different book.
Interesting.
So, and sometimes people come to me and they don't know that their title isn't connecting to their audience or to any audience. Or sometimes I'll just say, I don't get this. What does this mean? And they'll start explaining it to me and I'll say, well, when people go to Amazon or, your website or wherever, they don't have cliff notes,
Right?
right?
Yeah.
Right. So you're not there to explain it. It has to make sense.
Hmm.
And then the second part is that sometimes people write a title and they think that, well, they think it's a title and it's actually a sentence. And there is a difference. And the difference is that a title has to hook them. A title has to be memorable. It's like if you're on a call, let's say we're on a call like this, and it goes by quickly. You say the title and it goes by. How are they going to remember to go get your book?
Right.
You have to, it has to be something that they can remember. And another reason is like a guy came to me who wanted to be on my podcast, and I didn't know him from Adam. And the name of his book was The Domino Effect. He's getting a lot of publicity from me because I keep using this story, but but I thought, oh, what a great title. And so I bumped him up and put him on the show, faster. I mean, first of all, I put him on, and second of all, I put him on faster because I was interested,
Hmm.
and it was a brand new book. So, it catches the attention of the media, and that's important too.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, why should, you know, the world is moving to video a lot, right? Online meetings like this, Zoom, open broadcasts, source software and stuff. Why is it still so important then for thought leaders, speakers, experts of whatever stripe to actually write a book anyway?
Well, there's a lot of reasons to write a book. One is that you get more credibility and expert status because 81% of people want to write a book, and less than, it used to be 1%. Now they say 2% ever will. So that's the first thing. Most people will never write one. The second thing is, now that we have Amazon, you can get number one ranking, and there's some great tools in Amazon that can help you get a much bigger reach than you could get on your own. And there are all these announcement sites now. It's a cottage industry that has grown up around Amazon. And so when you take advantage of all that, they've built these huge lists over time. And now they're sending those people that are interested in your topic to your book.
Interesting.
So,
Say a little bit
yeah.
more about that because I've never heard about that yet. Now, mind you, I haven't done a whole lot of research into Amazon, but that's kind of interesting. There are announcement sites that will.
They're announcement sites, and they especially do it for free books. You can get a ton of publicity with a free book, and a lot of authors don't want to give a book away. They feel like, well, I put all this time and energy into my book, I don't want to give it away. But the truth is that people give lead magnets all the time,
Mhm.
right? So what's the difference? I mean, a book gives you more credibility than just a checklist or a report or something. So,
Right, right.
people shouldn't be afraid to give it away. And the other thing is when we do bestseller launches, or when I teach people to do bestseller launches, we only do that for a couple days,
Mhm.
and it's only the ebook. So people might go there, and if they want the book, they're still going to buy the book.
Mhm.
So I think people really are missing out by not understanding that.
Right.
And I don't know if I just said this, but also you can get on the number one hot release list. Did I say
No,
that?
no.
Yeah.
You
So
did
there,
say it's easy to get the number one ranking, but not the hot release
well, it's
list. Tell
easy
me
to get
more
the
about
number one
that.
ranking if you know what you're doing. I mean, that goes back to, you've got to have the right keywords, you've got to have the right categories, you've got to position your book properly, you've got to have a great Kindle description, and that's how you do it. And also, if you have more reviews, it helps. And a lot of people don't think about it until, you know, they are publishing. And so a lot of times, when I've done bestseller launches, we'd be scrambling to like get them caught up,
Hmm.
to where they should have been. So I always recommend that people get started before they write their book.
Nice.
That's the best time. But if you've already written the book and you're just hearing this, then I say start now.
Right.
It's never too late, but it's better if you're early.
That absolutely makes sense. I mean, yeah, we
But
see
but let
what
me
can
tell
happen with
yeah,
gardener writers that just start writing and go off into tangents and go off
tangents,
into
yeah.
tangents and, like you
Yeah.
said, confuse minds
Yeah,
and
I'm a
thought.
huge proponent of doing an outline first.
Yeah, yeah,
Once
excellent.
you've done your research and you know what you're writing, then do the outline. It's your roadmap. And yeah, I mean, I have a workshop that I've taught many times to authors all over the world. And so many times when somebody would get stuck and I'd say, well, did you follow the outline? They go, no. I go, why not? They go, I don't know. Well, it looks so easy. Well, yeah,
Right.
but the reason I made the outline is because people weren't getting it. But
Exactly.
uh, but the number one hot releases is very cool because when you go into a category and you'll see like 1 through 10, and then if it's a hot new release, it'll show up in the middle. I know because I do this a lot. So like my book showed up at number 6, right between 5 and 6.
Hmm.
So you get a lot more visibility, and then you get more sales. And by the way, I have done launches with a free and with a 99 cent, and I made about the same amount of money. And the reason is you make more, what is it? You make more sales now I'm getting confused myself. You make more sales with one, but the other way you're getting more money. So yeah, so when the book is free, then you go to 2.99, and so you're getting, $2 out of that. Whereas when you do 99 cents, you're only getting 70 cents.
Oh yeah,
So you don't have
yeah.
to sell as many books.
Interesting,
Yeah.
interesting stuff. There's a lot. I bet you could have a bestseller just in a checklist of what you need to look at for Amazon to self-published. That would be a good one. Um,
Probably.
Now, what else goes into preparing from the very beginning that your book become a bestseller? I mean, is there a way to do that to
Oh
actually
yeah.
write for?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
There are several steps, I will say, but it's not hard. It's just knowing what they are and doing them. So the first thing is to talk to your audience and see, what keeps you up at night? What do you want to know that you haven't been able to find? What do you need? And one good thing you can do is you can go into Amazon and look at the reviews from other books. And this is why I love negative reviews, because they'll tell you what they didn't get. And you can say, "Oh,
Yeah.
I could put that in my book,"
There
you
you
know.
go. That's great.
So that's really good. And then you want to use their language, so that's why it's important to talk to them. Um, and then the next thing is, and it's one of my specialties, and that so many people don't do, and it's kind of the thing I'm an evangelist about, is doing the research in Kindle. The whole, like I said, finding the keywords, finding the categories. How is your book different? And that's another thing. Like people sometimes um, don't realize that it is. Like they'll write these titles. I mean, I see these over and over again. Do this, and live the life of your dreams. That kind of
Hmm.
thing. How many books have you heard like that?
Yeah.
So what I do when I'm talking to someone is I always try to find out what's that thing that makes them different. So for instance, you mentioned my client Terry. Well, Terry, her group is Heartrepreneur, and she's very heart centered. So um, she's, as you know, she was doing this book launch, but it's in Publishizer, and they picked this subtitle that's not going to be the final title. And I said to her, when you do write it, I don't have it right in front of me now, but I started with, a 4-step heart centered system, because that's what makes her different.
Nice.
So, and you also want to make sure that it's something that will appeal to people. Like that's going to appeal to heart centered people, right? But
Hmm.
sometimes, like I remember when I wrote my first book, it was a book about moving, because we'd been moving a lot from buying, fixing, and selling houses, and I'd gotten really good at it, and I can save people a lot of money.
Hmm.
But the first title was something like, 25 steps to moving. And it was like, nobody wants 25 steps.
Right.
You know what I mean? You don't want to use steps unless it's, 3 steps, 4 steps, 5 steps, maybe 7, no more. That's it. So if it's more than that, you don't want to put that in your subtitle. So there are different ways to approach it depending on what it is. People want simple, people want fast, and people want to know exactly why it's going to benefit them.
Hmm. And that's a great word I want to pull out of there. Benefits, not features.
Right.
Benefits.
Benefits. Yeah.
Right. What will they benefit out of reading your book? Now,
Yes.
why is it so important? I mean, this sounds like an obvious question. Everybody wants to be the best, right? But why
Right.
is it so important to actually get number one bestseller on Amazon?
Well, like I said, one is because you can get on the hot new release list, which you don't get on if you're not number one.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And number two, you know, I remember I had a client and we got him to number one, and he called me up, and he was so excited. He goes, it's like being the number one world, boxing champion, or getting an Oscar. It's always mentioned after your name,
Yeah.
right? So, Ellen Violette, in my case, multiple number one best-selling author. So, I mean, now that, people think it's easy, this keeps falling out of my ear. Now that people think it's so easy to get to Amazon number one, sometimes it is, but a lot of times it isn't. And sometimes people get to number one in a category that does them absolutely no good at all, just because they're trying to game the system. But there's really no point in doing that,
Right. Right.
you know?
Yeah.
So it's just, the more you do it, the better you get at it, the more you have, the more credentials you have, the more you're sought after.
And that's
It's really pretty,
always
that part's
what you
really
want.
pretty simple. Yeah. But going back to why write a book, another thing is, you make a bigger impact. You can reach more people. It's high value and low cost to get in. And all authors should be speakers. And if you're speaking from the stage, you can sell your book. Or if you're speaking here, you can sell, a book,
Hmm.
on these interviews. So
Absolutely,
yeah.
absolutely. Um, I gotta say though that you just said all authors should be speakers. I must disagree. I have
Okay.
seen some authors that really do better in the written form um, than
Well,
standing
it's
on a
it's a
stage
learned
talking.
skill. I
Yeah,
mean, for a lot of people, it's a learned. I'm not saying you should go out and do it if you're not good at it. Go get a teacher. Go get a mentor.
join Toastmasters, something. Yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
yeah. And by all means, definitely develop that skill. But don't be afraid just because you've got really good skills with writing and not necessarily good skills with speaking
Right,
that
to
you
get
shouldn't
started.
do
Yeah,
that. Yeah.
absolutely. And let me tell you, when I first started, we didn't have webinars. We had teleseminars. And when I first started doing teleseminars, I mean, I would write out the whole thing and I was reading it. And
Hmm.
I was terrible, but I just kept doing it. And over time, what happens is you just get to the point where you know it.
Yeah.
And then you're able to just make bullet points or, wing it or whatever. And I can remember it was about, a couple of years when I started getting people saying, wow, you've gotten so much better. But I was lucky because in those days, there was nobody really doing what I was doing, and still nobody does exactly what I do. But it is a little bit more difficult for people to. They have to dig a little deeper to figure out how people are different or who's the right person for them because there's just so much noise out there,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
But
And it makes
yeah,
sense,
but
having that
but
thick
you have
skin.
you have to be willing to be bad before you can be good.
That is so true. That is so
Yeah.
true. Now, when it comes to selling books, not just through Amazon or Kindle or that type of
Hmm.
thing, when we were talking to Terry yesterday, she's um, on a mission and almost there to pre-sell 500 books. Now, this is
Right.
huge, right? Because, like this, most authors rarely sell more than 200 books across the life of their that book's
Right.
career, so to
And
speak.
and nobody has to do that. I mean, there's a system, there's a process. And actually, I have to say I've learned a lot working with Terry because Terry is so accomplished at what she does, and her business is so high end that we really had to approach it differently from somebody who's just starting.
Hmm.
You know.
How so? How is it a little bit
Well,
different?
there's a few things. I mean, first of all, her clients, are used to spending a lot of money, and they didn't necessarily want to be bothered with getting the. They didn't necessarily want the books.
Hmm.
So then it was like, okay, well, you had to come up with something like, okay, well, how do we make it so they don't necessarily, where the value is so good, it doesn't matter about the books. And then I said to her, the books could be donated, to a charity.
Hmm. That's a great
So
idea.
they don't have to take the books if they don't want the books.
I
The
Go ahead.
Yeah, the other thing is she was able to sell a lot of books at one time to one person because they know her, like her, trust her, and they're
Hmm.
used to spending a lot of money with her. So for someone to pay her $5,000, she was able to get people to do that. But then what happens is, when you're doing something like Publishizer and you have a deadline, it's not just getting the right people, it's also getting them in that time frame.
Hmm.
So we also needed something that was an easier access. So, we ended up making layers of um, offers, basically, different bonus offers at different price points.
I really liked that. That was the first time that I had ever heard of something like that, and I thought that was so clever. If you bought 10 books, there were even more extra bonuses. That
Right.
that was a phenomenal stroke of genius. I loved that. Did you come up with that?
Well, when she first started it, she had all those bonuses that were in Advisor.
Mm.
But then when I came on board, um, one of the things I said to her was that interested in that, but if I blogged what we're doing and they could read how we did it, I think my list would be did that. So I mean, if their receipt at Ellen at booksopendoors.com,
Mm-hmm.
And they bought 5 books, they could get onto that. I had her more bonuses for her people.
Nice.
So, but I didn't know how many would actually end up, coming to my site because it's not me, it's her. Who it's her project, not mine. But anyway, so we added some other cool bonuses like how I find $10,000 in 45 minutes for small business owners. That's one of them.
Nice.
Yeah, and then there was another one. Let's see, how to explode your business and income or something like that. I can't remember. Anyway, one of them is a workbook, and um, it's 190 pages, and it's really, really cool because it's everything with her is heart centered. She starts with mindset, and then she talks about laws of attraction, all these really interesting things. But then she also talked about how to apply that, how to, the application of it in the real world. So, and that's what she's an expert at, combining those two things.
Very cool stuff.
Yeah.
Very cool. So, without these systems in place, what makes it so hard to sell your books?
Great question. You mean online or speaking
Just
live?
wherever the
Because
case
they're
may be.
different.
Yeah,
They're
whether
different.
it's getting a case of your book into a Barnes and Noble. Do they still have those? Um,
I don't know if they're going to have them for very long the way things are going.
right. But just like going to an in-person event and having
Yeah,
a
to me
book
that's a
table in the
really hard
back.
way to that's a hard way to sell books. As a matter of fact, when I first was learning about selling books, I was in teleseminar secrets with Alex Mandosian, and one of the things that he was the one who came up with virtual book tours. And one of the things that he said was that the reason he thought of this was because Al Gore, who was vice president at the time, went to do a book signing, and there were only 200 people there. And he said online you can reach thousands of people. I mean, I see this even in live events that I've been to that have been done virtually lately,
Mm-hmm.
where they were used to getting, like Jeff Walker was used to getting around 1,000 people at his live event. He had 2,200 online. So you're
Wow.
reaching a lot more
Yeah.
people,
Yeah.
So I mean, it's way more effort, and it's the only reason to do it in live is to if for that signing. If you want to sign books and feel really awesome and meet the people that way,
Mm-hmm.
then that's a great thing to do. But as far as reach, you're much better off online.
Yeah, that would make sense.
So I mean, there's so many things you can do, whether it's writing for magazines like Forbes, Entrepreneur, those kind of magazines if you're in business, or
Ellen, I think we might have lost you. You still there? All right. Well, I want to invite everybody to reach out to Ellen Violette's site and get your book creation checklist at www.bookcreationsecrets.com/spotlight. And you guys have a fantastic day. Bye now.